We're back with Katawa Shoujo, and I'm trying something a little different. Hopefully it works. And, yeah, so, whatever. Matao reads equations and formulas to us one by one in his usual unenthusiastic monotone directly. What? Already starting with this, alright. Unenthusiastic monotone, directly from the book. It's possible that he might be excited about what he teaches us. Sometimes he can display an awkward spark of passion for it as he's starting to get into the material. Most days, however, are like this one. What we're covering is fairly simple, so I find it increasingly difficult to keep my concentration on it. It's not too long until my legs begin aching again, which only makes it even harder. I'm almost starting to regret walking around the city yesterday with Oli. Since leaving the hospital, I've done very little physical exertion, walking to and from the local corner store hardly counts. Despite Emi's attempt when I first arrived in Nimaku, I've largely given up on the idea to ever return to my old level of fitness. I have little doubt that's why walking around town for so many hours has made me quite so sore. It's depressing, and it reminds me of one more thing I can't do since I had my heart attack. It makes me feel pathetic. Now, Ikazawa. It's odd for Matao to ask Kanako a question, but not unheard of. She quickly jumps to her feet, a little startled, and immediately pins her eyes onto him. She knows that Matao calling on her is rare, so all eyes in the classroom are going to be on her. This way she doesn't run the risk of making eye contact with anyone. Yes? In this particular example of a redox reaction, the combustion of methane reaction actually produces one more product than is listed. The product is... Even though this is a softball question, she timidly waits a bit before answering, biting down slightly on her lower lip as if to keep her concentration. Oh, heat. Well done. This is an exothermic reaction, with the reaction given more heat than is put onto it. Receiving a nod from Matao, Hanako takes her seat once again and gives her a relieved sigh. A shaky start, but it's something. It'll be nice to talk to her for her birthday, somewhere different from the usual isolation of her room, the tea room. With progress she's made until now, I don't think she'll have much of a problem going to the city. I'll admit, yeah, she's coming out of her shell. Right then, for the remainder of the class, I'd like you to work in groups of 3 or 4 on a problem in the chapter 12. I'll be here if you need me. Ooh, Matao. I think I know what you're doing here, Matao. Matao sits down behind his desk, pulls some loose sheets out of a folder and starts on some kind of paperwork of his own. I thought teachers were supposed to do that kind of thing after class, not during it. I hope he did this on purpose. 3 or 4. 3 or 4. So these two, me. Who would the last person be? Someone all by herself that just answered a question, maybe. Regardless, I looked to my right to pick out someone to form a group with. Given the 2 smiling faces hovering near mine, I don't think I'm gonna need much to say in this matter. I suppose we have a group then. Hey Chan, you wanna work together? Okay. That's great, it's really been a while. The class begins the process of noisily shuffling the desk around, while Shizune doing the same as she puts hers in front of mine. She's a little lucky to not be able to hear the din of the classroom, which is loud enough to cause some discomfort. Truth be told, working with Shizune and Misha is probably a good outcome. Shizune and I are pretty good at the subject, and Misha has really nice handwriting. Yep, that's all it is. As I looked at Misha, I noticed a tall figure behind her. The shadow catches Misha's attention as well as she turns to face the dark-haired observer. There she is. Good afternoon, Hanako. Hello. Shizune finally notices Hanako. After looking up and following the gazes of Misha and I quickly in quick measure, she taps Misha on the shoulder to get her attention before signing away. Sichan, if you're looking for a group, you can join ours. Or Sichan says that, yeah. Hanako looks down and blushes a little at the offer. And of all the people in the class, Hanako is most familiar with the three of us. So it's reasonable that she'd come to us first. Oh my god, look at her, she's smiling. Oh. Then again, her actual coming up to a group with the intention of joining them is something she apparently very rarely does, or did before. She leaves briefly to drag her desk over, and Shizune and Misha wheel back to me as soon as her back is turned. I guess we get to play it, Chad. You hardly ever play with us anymore. I wonder why. You two always seem to have some ulterior motive. Oh. That hurt you, Chad. I'd almost think you were insulting me. But it's a Chad, so I know you're joking. Such a great sense of humor about it. It'd be awful if someone were to take advantage of your good nature, like making you help them with their work. Wahaha. Shizune seems excited for a second, a little surprised that I'm willing to challenge her. But when she sees Hanako coming back, she backs off with a smile. I guess the mind games are over early today. Oh. Hanako gently sits down her desk in front of Misha's. Her eyes are locked downwards, and I'm left wondering why until I look around the class. Most are busy setting up their own groups. A few are casting curious glances at her. At this range, it's hard to tell whether this is where their interest in her ends, or if they're talking about her as well. You guys are just making words, seriously. It's strange. No one bats an eyelid when Hanako runs out of the classroom to avoid group work. But now that she's making an effort, they're staring at her as if she'd done something wrong. We all move this toward ourselves, spreading our textbooks and worksheets around the larger surface created by the four joined desks. It isn't long before the class as a whole gets down to work. I'm gonna check to see if what I'm doing different is working, so I'll be right back. Alright, it worked a little, but I don't know. We all moved to sort ourselves out and spreading out our textbooks and worksheets around the larger surface created by the four joined desks, and it isn't long before the class as a whole gets down to work. And I probably just read that. Hi, Hanako. It's nice to finally work with you. Yeah. Are you the real reason Hichan has been avoiding us lately? Hichan says it's a little rude, but if Hichan wants to spend time with a cute girl, it's understandable. What? I don't think that's like that. Hanako starts to fidget and unused to this kind of attention. I think that an ordinary person would drop the conversation by now. But Misha is like that, and that is of Hanako. Part of that includes being blind to ordinary social cues, while Hanako is overly sensitive to them. Sorry. Okay, because of that, Misha barrels ahead of the questions too quickly for me to get the chance to interject, guide the discussion somewhere more comfortable. Really? So, he wasn't hanging out with you yesterday? Oh, here we go. No? I can feel my cover being blown already. Lily didn't want Hanako to know that we were out buying presents for her, let alone planning out her birthday party. It wouldn't be good for her to find out. Yeah, I was doing something else. You know how it is. You know what it is. Really? I wonder what's so important for a China blow himself like that. If it wasn't really to spend time with Hanako, then what could it be? It's really interesting. No, it isn't. Please, don't do this. Don't do this. Now this is starting to feel like an interrogation. I'm surprised at how Misha is able to exert such a feeling of pressure without actually intending to. Were you with Lily? Out of nowhere, Hanako manages to stumble on the answer. She may be dreadfully quiet and shy, but she's very intuitive. What makes you say that? Yesterday, Lily said something similar. What? God damn it. Suspicious. Chan, I demand you explain yourself. Hey, shouldn't we be doing the assignment? But it's so mysterious, even Hanako wants to know. I turn to look at Hanako. It's true from the expression on her face, it's obvious that she wants to know as well. I think we're past the point where I could weasel out of having to provide an explanation. I apologize to Lily in my mind. She really didn't want to keep this a secret. But now it doesn't seem possible anymore. Maybe there's another reason she wanted to keep it a secret though, please. I feel a rush of conflicting emotions, so I jumbled that I can readily identify them. They crash around in my head, and as I try to calm down and speak. Alright. I'll tell you. I went into town with Lily. But isn't what you think. Lily and I were, for Hanako's birthday, the cat's out of the bag. It looks like Hanako's taking it a little better than I thought she would. A brief silence passes around the little group. Suzune and Misha, oh my god, sorry, look at each other sheepishly. I can't tell that they didn't expect their game to turn out like this. Yeah, you guys look like assholes. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at both of you. Guys, oh my god. Misha looks up to Hanako in order to apologize and pauses. Hanako is staring at the middle of her desk and barely moving, a maudlin expression on her face. I guess I was wrong about her taking it well. You see that? You better be sorry. Hanako, I'm sorry. There's a few second pause, but Hanako lifts and shakes her head. It's okay. Her expression looks odd, like she's very tired, and that doesn't seem natural, but it's nothing alarming. Nobody really wants to continue with the current conversation, so we open our textbooks and begin our group work. This is pretty dull. While the equations we're supposed to work out as a group will take a while, most of it's going to be boringly mechanical. Here's the music. Something's going on. It also didn't help that while that didn't go as bad as it could have, it left an awkward atmosphere around us. Still, we manage. Suzune's face betrays that she has about the same expectation of our work as I do. The two of us begin to write our group's results. Misha, on the other hand, is scrunching up her lips and very visibly trying to make head or tails of what we're doing. Nako's looking on quietly, absorbing what we write and what I say. She usually has the same expression when the teacher speaks. It's a shame her attendance is so unreliable. With the way she takes in information, I think she'd do quite well in class. If she actually followed the lessons regularly, I wonder if this might be why Shizune seems so hard on her. Hey, Hanako, do you understand this? Misha looks at Hanako, but I suspect her hope is more to find a comrade in ignorance rather than genuine help. I not really, I guess. I'm surprised by how tense she is in answering. When she settles back down, she breathes out, and the way her upper body and head lower remind me of a deflating balloon. You okay? I could go over this a bit if you want. Naoko shakes her head slightly, but then again, I don't think she needed the extra explanation despite what she said. Misha quickly interjects, entirely oblivious, and I end up slowly going through how we ended up at one of our results step by step. Times like this remind me that this kind of work may not be mechanical for everyone, but rather feels that way to me due to my grasp on the subject. It's a satisfying feeling. And Misha brings her ballad fist onto the open hand in realization. I discover another nice feeling. My explanation got through to her, and she manages to work out the next equation by herself with minimum guidance. Throughout all of this, Nako is unusually unresponsive. She's normally very quiet, but one can still see her roving periodically over the landscape of the classroom in front of her, or anxiously moving her hands in some way, or shifting her shoulders periodically. Right now, these small movements that I've gotten used to seeing are all missing. Someone not moving at all is definitely weird. Even Misha can tell that there's something wrong. Nako, are you sure you're okay? Yes. Are you sure? I'm fine. A little more strongly this time, but she turns away as she says it. It only makes me doubt her answer, yet at the same time I can tell she doesn't want to talk about it further. Having already had one awkward conversation today, I'm still not fully over. I don't want to pursue the matter too much either. We settle back into our routine of debating over our answer whenever a doubt comes up, but as time goes on I notice that Nako isn't talking at all. It's frustrating. She had made so much progress. It makes me a little angry at Shizune and Misha for undoing the surprise Lily had wanted to keep secret so much. I know I'm at fault too. Maybe I could have kept it under wraps somehow. Shizune has noticed Hanako's silence as well, which is saying something because she can't hear. And it's also getting antsy. I can't see it on her face. It's strange. Even though she's deaf, Shizune has perceived Hanako's unusual kindness sooner than Misha. Okay, yeah, we all know something's up. Something's going on. Hanako, you're being too quiet. You have to contribute too. Someday we might have work on a bigger project. Like one that's so big it's worth celebrating afterwards, like with ice cream or cake. If you act like this, we won't take you along. That didn't help at all. That made it worse, I think. I can tell that they're trying to tease her to bring her out of her shell, but I don't think that's the kind of approach that will work on Hanako. It just makes it make her feel worse. I agree. Guys, don't tease her like that. And that just made it even worse. Hichan, it's all good fun. Hichan says she teases everyone anyway. They do back off though, with Misha moving away from the issue, and asking me a question again. I'm seeing how difficult the problem is she is working on is, I don't know whether it was a skillful dodge or just a mere coincidence. It takes me more of our time than necessary because Shizune keeps disagreeing with me while I'm trying to explain it to Misha. And Misha quick to believe her over me, so quick in fact that she forgets to translate what Shizune is saying. Hey, the clock is kind of ticking down. We should speed up a little. Hichan, you sound a little like Hichan there. Just because I looked at my watch. Geez, is that really all it takes? Time management, and suddenly you're the student council president. I look at Hanako's desk to see how she's doing and freeze. Her papers are covered in equations, but Hanako's only halfway there. It seems like she hasn't written anything in the past 20 minutes. When I realize that, I want to kick myself for how dumb I've been. I should have known that someone as fragile as Hanako wasn't just gonna brush off what happened so easily. But I have been too eager to move on from that awkward situation to notice. She's been slowly shutting down from the last half hour, and I had no clue. Her pen is still in her hand, but doesn't slowly spin it around like she usually does. There isn't a single idle movement from Hinako. Only the fact that she tries to inch away once she feels Shizune, Misha, and I looking at her tells me that she is even still conscious. We look away, and at least in my case, it's partly out of shame, and that is gone to the point. Though on the outside she has shut down almost completely, I know that it's a different story on the inside. What kind of things could she be thinking of as she tries harder and harder to shrink into herself, as if by willing it, she could somehow disappear? Everyone is looking at her now, stealing quick glances in between putting the finishing touches on their work. Misha attempts to ask her what's wrong, but that only makes the problem worse. If she weren't frozen to her seat, she would probably run out of room right now. Misha quickly out loud enough to be heard throughout the entire classroom. For a second, I'm ready to snap at her, because I can only imagine how much worse it's making Hanako feel. Of course, if I were to do that, it would only make the situation worse. I believe that Hanako had gotten stronger, and she has, but it wasn't enough. I was too eager to believe it. Now she's terrified alone in the middle of the classroom, and there's nothing I can do without drawing more attention to her. It's infuriating. Misha's worried, and even Shizune biting her lip. None of us know how to deal with the situation, so I decided to call Mattel. His judgment would probably be better than ours. I look up and manage to catch his eye, silently motioning for him to come over. I want to make the little fist as possible, since if there's anything that would make this worse, it's more attention than being focused on her. I know that Naoku can see everyone staring at her group, specifically at her, because they know that if there's a problem, it has to be her. Everyone knows her, and it's the first thing anyone's mind would leap to. Her reputation would be a traunt, and has marked her as an unusual person, even an unusual Yamaku. Who knows how many times they have stared at her before. Maybe it's because she's seen the class staring at her so much that she fears their gazes like she does, cowering for them. The time it takes Matao to walk over must be like an eternity for Nako, and she looks as if she's about to fall over. Matao quickly begins to ask us what's wrong before catching himself as he sees Hanako. Did we upset her? Don't worry. Matao bends over after calming Misha and looks intently at Hanako's face. Hi, Ikazawa. Can I help you at all? His voice hushed and gentle. Everyone's acting so differently around Hanako now that the whole class has noticed something's wrong with her. Hanako doesn't respond, so Matao gently rests a hand on her shoulder. She starts shaking at his touch, but won't even look up. Hanako continues to stare into the equation on her desk, vision so unfocused that I doubt she even sees them. She's worse than before. I remember that not even an hour ago, she was able to talk to him almost normally. Matao grimaces a bit as he stands again, and now that his expression changed, I can see he wasn't exactly unaffected by what happened either. He takes a breath to settle himself before speaking in a very quiet voice. I'm a little impressed at how quickly he takes control of the situation. Is that it? Nothing's wrong then? Matao seems to say this to no one in particular. However, his words sound convincing enough that most of the people who were looking over at Hanako now turn away, getting back to their work. He gives a quick glance to his left and right. Several people at the desk around us are still staring curiously. But other than that, we seem to have escaped attracting too much attention. Matao noticed me doing the same as him and smiles a little, in his usual stilted way. I think for Ikazawa's sake, that it would be good to take her somewhere away from others. Nakai, Hakamichi, could you please take Ikazawa out of the classroom? I'll keep everyone settled, so please don't worry about anything but her, okay? He looks at Misha to tell her to interpret his words for Shizune, but she's already finishing her translation by the time he does so. It's remarkable how little thought she needs to sign. and she still looks quite dazzled but dazed otherwise. Nodding, Shizune and I stand up and move to either side of Hanako. And Tao steps back to allow us some room and talks to the table behind us, as some people have begun to mutter between themselves about what's going on. We look at each other before lowering ourselves in unison, taking one arm around each of our shoulders and lifting. The two of us begin to walk at a slow pace to make sure we don't inadvertently hurt her. As much as we try to make this look normal, I'm quite sure this would be many more gazes on us if not for Matao's distraction. Eventually, thankfully, we reach the door and go through. Nobody's outside, so we walk down the hallway. It doesn't seem like it's making her more at ease than she was in the classroom. Finally, I ask if she wants to join just to sit down. For a while, we simply stay in the place and wait for her to say something. She tenderly rubs Hanako's shoulder a little, but there's no response. Eventually, she shakes her head a little while Shizune tries again. Both of us are looking at her, so we pick up on it immediately. Shizune's hand again comes to rest on Hanako's shoulder as she awakens her face, lifting the two very worried and anxious people looking at her. She looks at us silently for a while. I'm initially worried she might freak out or do something extreme, but those fears prove unwarranted, and her expression slowly changes from an almost lifeless blank state to a more normal withdrawn shyness. She wordlessly lowers her head, her eyes evasively moving to the side. She looks embarrassed, almost ashamed. I want to say something, anything to help, but I can't, though. I don't really know what just happened, or even what caused it. I feel helpless and ashamed of myself for not being of any use. Shizune sighs before looking at me. If not without words, I think I can tell what she's asking. I'll take Hanako to the nurse if that's okay by you. I try to communicate with my intention through hand gestures, but I don't feel like I managed to get through to her very well. Shizune makes a dreary face in response to my gesticulations, confirming my impression. She stabs her fingers in the air decisively, first at me, then at Hanako, and then towards the stairs. She waits for me to nod before pointing at herself, then pointing at the door to the classroom. I get the feeling that Shizune is better at this than I am. I feel I nod at her, since her plan is after all the same as mine. She gets ready to make her exit, but she only leaves after looking at Hanako for quite some time. Are you okay with me taking you to the nurse's office? Hanako doesn't say anything or nod, but she stands up in place by herself. When I begin to walk, she obediently follows. I've read about people being catatonic before, but I think this is the time. I think this time I'm seeing it for myself. She looks extremely tired, even after everything happened. It's not a surprise. After Hanako silently takes off her shoes and lies on the bed in the infirmary, the nurse and I take our leave. He shuts the curtains behind us. We both take a seat, and I quietly and thoroughly go through everything that happened in quite some detail. I want to understand what happened, and the nurse has a good chance as anyone of knowing. He nods through my explanation, his face looking troubled as I finish. It must have been very troubling for you to have seen all this. I'd been lying if I said I wasn't. I get that she fainted, but I don't really understand anything about why it happened or why she's acting like this. He nods, but his face is clouded. You don't know either? Well, yes and no. It's complicated. I assume you've heard about the concept of patient and confidentiality at some point. This is a bit of a minefield in that respect. I'm going to put this pretty bluntly. This is a matter for Ikazawa, me, and her therapist. I move to protest, but think better of it. I want to deny what he says, but I think this through rationally. What he says makes perfect sense. I understand. Good. I wish I could help you more, but I think Ikazawa needs right. now isn't somebody prying into her past or her emotions. She just needs somebody to be there for her. She needs a friend. For what it's worth, I think you've done well in bringing her here. Sounds like you and your friends dealt with the situation well too. I'd give you a lollipop or a sticker as a reward, but if you might be a little too old for that either. He gives a cocky grin, obviously trying his best to lighten the atmosphere. I'm not readily in a laughing mood, but he does manage to get a smile out of me. Thanks. Do you mind if I stay here with Hanako? I appreciate the thought, but I think it would be better to leave the rest for now. She'll be led back to her dormitory room this evening, so you could visit her then. I agree with him before standing. It feels like all I can ever do around the nurse is humbly agree to what he says. But it was the same with the doctor in the hospital too. The walk back to the classroom is a long one, my mind feeling heavy under the weight of so many other things happening so suddenly. Even as I re-enter the classroom, I'm thinking about Hanako. My stomach feels like it's turning into knots while I think about what to deal with her, how to deal with her. I still don't know what I'm going to say when I see her again. Thankfully, the class doesn't pay much heed. There are a couple of questioning glances, but overall, not many people seem to be very aware of what happened. Mattel raises his eyebrow to get my attention while I pass his desk. Nakai, I take it as Ikizawa's in the infirmary now. Yeah, I took her there and the nurse said I should let her rest. Mattel nods, assuring me that I made the right call. He scratches his chin for a second before rising from the desk. Everyone, I want you to continue with the exercise. Nakai, I'll see you in the hallway, please. His piece is harsh, but overall he doesn't seem to be acting too differently from how he usually does. Being a teacher, maybe it's to be expected. As we go into the hallway, I notice him taking a quick glance left and right to check if there are any students milling around. The hallway is nearly soundless, but I think, of anything, except waiting for Minato to speak. Nakai, what do you think the purpose of the school is? To cater to the needs of disabled students? Minato scratches his head as he shakes it. No. If you wanted to do that, we had to build a whole new school from scratch on one floor. Talking whiteboards, that kind of thing. Or taking, wait, was that talking or taking? I don't even... Talking whiteboards. Alright. Look around, Nakai. The school is about giving you all a future that you would have been denied in a regular education. Huh? Think of it this way. If you wanted to graduate and go straight into a hospital, do you think we'd put this much effort? The bluntness of Matao's statement temporarily stuns me, causing me to forget about the immediate situation. No. That's right. We want you all to leave here as useful members of society. I'm not quite sure I've been following you. I have high hopes for you, Nakai. You're possibly the first students I've had that gets my lectures. That isn't something that a teacher should be admitting so freely. You could easily take your studies of science well into university. Have you ever considered that? I can't say I have. Well, what have you considered for your future, that is? I can't say that I put that much thought into my future. For a moment, I distinctly reminded of Lily's question me about the same subject. It's only been a little over 5 months and I was gasping for air on the ground. It's too soon for me to think about the future, and besides, Naoko's problem seems much bigger to me right now. Matao gives a disapproving sigh, or continuing. Think of this place as an opportunity. Here you have boundless facilities, good teachers, plus the added bonus of the nurse and the staff. You should be doing nothing but thinking of the future. Right. As I raised my head and Mia's gaze, a thought occurs to me. It's almost like Mattel totally sidestepped the issue at hand. Excuse me, but why do none of the staff seem to care about Hanako, or care when Hanako skips class? I've seen you watch her walk out of the class more than once. Shouldn't you at least say something? Well, Nikai, it's not really that simple. Every student here has special needs. If it weren't for that, then we wouldn't have a school here. For example, I wouldn't keep you in class if you were having trouble breathing, would I? That's not... Mattel cuts me off before I could even think about finishing my sentence. Nikazawa's case is very much like that, but instead of CPR or a pacemaker, what she needs is time and space. The faculty was made aware of this from the day she arrived here. Thus, whenever she feels the need to leave class, we let her do so. And even though she isn't a star pupil, she seems to pass all of her exams, so it hasn't affected her ability to study. Isn't that enough? I open my mouth to protest, but I can't find a fault in his argument. While her conditions does at first seem to be a whole psychological, its worst effect has been on her psyche. It still puts me off though. Isn't he just passing on the responsibility for her problem? Surely she can't go like this for her entire life. I understand that you might not be used to this kind of thing yet. It's a big change for you. That said, it's less than a year until graduation now. Maybe you won't have to get used to this school. If you keep your head down, I'm sure you'll do well enough in your exams. I numbly nod more to simply acknowledge that I'm listening than out of agreement. I felt like I'm getting used to this school, but it feels like it's just been a throwback in my face. But what about Hanako? I believe, well, I hope that we will perform well enough to do what she wants to do. Well, that is, I don't know. Not all students leave school with an idea of what they want to do, unfortunately. He takes care to emphasize the last word as if it wasn't quite clear enough already, and gives me a moment to mull his words over. Today has been a troublesome day for you, and I doubt you'd be able to concentrate much anyway. After all that happened, so I'll allow you to take the rest of the day off. Your marks have been good enough in the class so far, which makes you think you won't have any trouble catching up on what we've been doing. He gives a small smile along with the praise, as if to make up for his seriousness of his lecture before now. Go collect your things, I'll see you tomorrow. Right, thank you. Mattel's roundabout speech has left my thoughts scattered. I'm still not any closer to working out what I can do to help Hanako. If anything, and my mind is all the more confused after what Mattel said. I'm also still bothered by the fact Hanako was helped at least as much by Shizune, her enemy by proxy, as well as by myself. But I don't know whether that is just a male bravado or genuine concern. While I collect Hanako and my things from the class, I continue to try and sort out my feelings. I want to say that I understand her and that I was there for her. But while I might have been able to say that just yesterday, I can't say it now. I wish I could.